I'm Pops, and hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Talk Hard Tuesday. I'm going to bring the guys in here in just one moment, but I wanted to say a special thank you to all of you, all the well wishes that I got last week. We were able to cancel, unfortunately, because of a family crisis. Everyone's under control. Everything is fine, but sometimes the family stuff just, it calls, and you got to do what you got to do. But I appreciate everyone. We'll go through the schedule changes here. If you go over to the YouTube page, you'll see the Talk Hard playlist has been updated of when we're going to do which show next. So we'll do that 1 year thing next week before we get to They Live and Ben-Hur and all these cool ideas that we're going to do on Talk Hard. But I wanted to say a special thank you to all of you that have done that, and I appreciate you guys so much. And likewise, special thoughts and prayers with Loki. He's got a doctor's appointment, so he's not going to be able to be with us tonight, but he wanted to be. But definitely, take care of yourself, brother. The link's out there if you can make it in time. But with that, we brought in some guns. We brought in the guys that know D&D way better than me. But listen, I am more than happy to talk about fandom. That's what I really love. I love talking about things that are good, things that we enjoy doing together, and things like that. So without further ado, below here is IRONCASTER, the co-host, the Talk Hard man himself. How you doing, IRONCASTER?
Oh well, I've got my lucky bag of dice here. I've got my I've got the D20 that hasn't failed me yet. I think I'm ready for a little tabletop talk.
Sounds good to me. We invited Troy to come in. He has been with us since the San Diego Comic-Con stream that we did last summer, where we were on for spontaneously, like literally my Thursday afternoon opened up. I'm used to doing San Diego Comic-Con. I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like ready to do that every year now. We had such a blast doing that. These two gentlemen were jumped at the well, sure, why not? And next thing you know, we were on for 3 or 4 hours. It was incredible, and we had a blast. And it's great to tap into Troy's D&D knowledge. He was really impressing me. I didn't know some of this stuff's in there, bro. But listen, that's what's fun about getting to know people doing this, is because we get to learn from each other and find out more about one another. But thank you, man. Thanks for doing this with us, man.
Va salud. Thank you.
That's awesome. So to keep with Troy's tradition, what are you drinking, my friend?
Well, and you'll notice it's out of a pint glass, because I figured Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy setting, something dark and bubbly.
Fair enough. So we've been having a lot of fun. Now, I didn't put Netter on the spot, but you can pass along the fact that she was one of the winners of my vintage wax packs. And
yes, she got those. She was excited. Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, there is something called the Padawannabe Challenge, where people will film or eat the gum on camera, and it's happened multiple times now. Didn't put her on the spot that she does that, but if she chooses to, she's more than welcome to send me the video.
She'll probably make me do it.
I would say, but it is not a pressure thing to do. You do not have to do it. But I'm teasing that mostly because
I'll mention it to her.
I have a set interview with Arwen Avalon. She's going to be on our What's Your Story.
Oh, she's a sweetie.
Series. And she's agreed, because Daryl the Derelict didn't do just one stick of gun IRONCASTER. He did two. No. He opened 2 packs and he threw down 2 at the same time. So Arwen starts talking smack that she's going to do it and chase it with milk. I'm like, So keep your eye out for that clip, especially if you're a member, because the members will get first dibs at seeing those kind of clips. So, yeah, the Padawannabe Challenge lives on, because he was the first one to do it. For those of you who don't know, he was the first one. We didn't even expect it. He said he was going to come on and open the cards with us, and then just spontaneously just threw them with the gum in his mouth, and we were all like, holy cow, I can't believe he did that. And it's lived on ever since. So IRONCASTER chased it with a Taco Bell sauce, which is shockingly funny to me.
That actually makes a little bit more sense than the milk.
Yeah. I did a pack of Black Hole, so I think the gum I chewed is actually probably the oldest gum to date. It's like from 1979. So I didn't want to be left out. I can't have other people doing something I wouldn't do. So
Netter's actually been looking online trying to find a substitute, because I said, I wish I could get that kind of gum that they used to put in the packs. I mean, obviously I could do the same. I could go out and buy these old packs. I don't want that. I want that kind of gum, but fresh. And she's been looking into it. We're trying to get a line on it.
And we say fresh. We were being sarcastic because, let's be honest, folks, I'm not sure it was ever really that fresh. But hey, listen, it's there. So, but with that, let's kick off, folks, by the way, I'm behind the camera. We have some stuff going on my end, so I'm not trying to disrupt things. But if I miss your comments or I don't pull something up, there's no hard feelings. No, I love you guys. Thank you so much for all support. And at the top of that list is the mod himself, the Pops mod. one of the most supportive members behind the scene. This thumbnail is from Chris. I mean, he's just a boss. We can't even imagine doing all this without you, brother. Thank you so much for being here, and hail to you. Pat S has hopped in, so hail to you, brother. Great to see you. And if we need to connect with you, man, we need to do a stream together. We need to figure out something, man. Love to see you out here, man. It'd be awesome. Yeah, Claude is here. Oh, Claude's awesome, man. Great to see you, brother. Thank you. Let's see. Was last week going to be the My Little Pony Gen 1 episode? I hope Pops reschedules it. Oh, see, the trolling starts, Troy. They don't ever let up on me. They don't ever let up.
I'll tell you what. I mean, you want a My Little Pony thing? Maybe go subscribe to Retro Blasting. Melinda has some videos up about My Little Pony.
Oh boy. All right. Well, Pat S, I don't know about My Little Pony, but I can tell you that the cartoon stuff is rolling on Saturday, so you never know. Maybe there'll be a little teaser in there, maybe some toys. Who knows what's in there? So, Stephen Ransom is here. Hey, brother. He's calling out the other popsters. Great to see you. Sean is here. Great, Sean. Awesome to have you in here, man. Throwing on the high fives. Awesome, man. Okay, so Chris is calling out Ironcaster. You got your D20, but do you have a D120?
No. Let's see. I have on hand a D3, D4, D5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 14, 16, 20, 24, and a 30.
That's awesome.
I don't have it. I don't have access to it, but I have a D100. It's like this big around.
Wow.
It's like you just basically take a golf ball and you just like start drawing numbers in all the little dimples.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, there's Rubik's cubes that have that many like sides and squares. So I always assumed it was kind of like that, like one of those, like these giant, Yeah. So, Chris is bringing up the Twinkie. There's been a lot of talk about Arwen now that she's committed herself. She's kind of doubled down. We're holding her to that. So, Vince, hey there, brother. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, great to see so many people coming in here, hang out, make sure I didn't miss anybody. And didn't that gum come with a collector's card? Really taste like Bazooka Joe?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking Bazooka Joe might be the closest, and then Stephen Ransom a little bit later suggests flattening it out. That could be the stick, right? The no pun intended. The Bazooka Joe, but like thinly sliced. Maybe.
Kopik is here, talking hard, right? Talking D&D. Kopik was my What's Your Story from last week. So, folks, if you haven't checked that out, a dude that has published his first book. He's been writing. He's been in the Hollywood system, knows his stuff. A great guy. Great conversation that we had. It's awesome to get to know him and spend time with him as well. So, let's see. Yeah, there's the Bazooka Joe.
I like that name, though. Copa Cantina.
Copa.
Now I got that song in my head.
Yes, Copa Catania. All right, so let's talk D&D first and foremost. So, of the three things for me, obviously, I really only know, or I'm really only versed in the animated show. I'm that much of a normie. Was never really into D&D. I've been honest. If there weren't girls there, I really wasn't hanging out. It wasn't my thing. I could go to movies and get girls to go to movies. I could go do stuff like that. So the D&D scene really was never my scene. I'm that superficial. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just being transparent. However, the animated show, I was down with the animated show. The show was freaking great. I had a blast watching that show. So, when did you start the D&D journey, Troy? Are you an OG back in the day? Like, how early was your first D&D sort of like experience?
So, let's see. My first encounter with Dungeons & Dragons probably would have been, I was in grade school. This was before high school. I was aware of it was right around the time the cartoon series had started. And that was the hype for the game and whatnot. I had a couple friends at school that were playing the game, so I went and hung out with them and kind of got the idea. Now we're talking basic D&D. We're talking before they even had the difference between advanced Dungeons & Dragons and basic and all of that kind of stuff. And ran a few games with them and told my mom, I was real into it. I really liked it. She liked the friends I was hanging out with because they were like the nerds, the smart ones. They, were taking like advanced high school classes on the weekends kind of thing, and she liked me hanging out with them. So she, took me to a hobby shop and just bought me all kinds of books. Some of it was stuff I could use, some of it I couldn't. She didn't know what she was getting. She just got everything. And that's pretty much where it started. High school, that's when first edition was starting to get, I guess they called it Advanced Dungeons and Dragons back then. A couple friends that were in the chess club started playing with them. When we go down to state meets, we'd take our D&D books with us, run a couple of adventures. Boy Scouts, same thing when we'd go camping and whatnot. And I'll just throw it into fast forward. Friends in college that I made in college are still my friends today. They're still my Wednesday night gaming group. We still to this day play every Wednesday. My lawyer, I was buddies with him in college. Now he's my lawyer. We get together every week for D&D.
He's bleeding nerd for you folks. He's bleeding
absolutely,
absolutely. Folks. And you guys in chat, if you guys throw your comments in there, just let me know what you guys were like, your first D&D, like when you started, or a cool memory, something like that. We can kind of integrate that into our conversation. So, IRONCASTER, you're ready to jump in. Like, tell me what you're thinking.
I wanted to ask Troy out of curiosity. What did you like to play as? What was your preferred class? What did you go to? I mean, were you the guy behind the screen running the game, or
not initially? No, I eventually did become a regular DM simply because I started to think more cinematically, and I had these great ideas to really push the immersion concept. So people started to really like when I ran the games, but. Started out real simple, just started out as a fighter, and I dabbled with playing a thief and whatnot, but I tended to gravitate towards the magic users, as I started to understand the rules better, and I used to really enjoy, like, creating actual spell books, which really all they were was, the spells printed out, so I used it as a source material for when I was...
Well, yeah, it's like awesome. It's great. There's a nice little bit of immersion. There's like, I gotta have my spell book, which right. By the way, this is my own little book I carry with me when I'm like at work. If I'm ever just come around, I'm like, hey, I've got an idea for something to jot down, and I start kind of writing some little things down.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Man, it's about writing every day. Again, I'm going to plug that Copa interview. He really, even if he didn't know it, Copa, if you're still there, if you didn't know it or not, you really called me out, because a lot of his advice really hit me home about, like, completing the project you started. Just complete your story. Just complete what you started, and you're ahead of the game. And then just the idea of writing like a short story, maybe not every day, but he said every day. But even if I write just a short story, like chapters of a bigger picture or something like that, it really hit me and called me out pretty good. So, Mike, the Comic Relief Crusaders, hopping in here, another great YouTubers out there, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's see. Oh, Padawannabe, the man. You say him once, say it twice, third time he's in there, throwing out the Morgan Freeman-esque pictures up. Yeah. You guys using those AI things, making me freaking avatars. It makes me laugh. I should have found one or two that, I don't know. Maybe I'll change. I don't know how to change them. I can't change it while I'm doing this. That's for sure. So, D&D is what we played when it rained. We were locked in the rooms during recess back in school. Cool. Yeah. I really regret not getting into it some, because I do enjoy writing. I do enjoy the theatrics. I do enjoy that kind of stuff. So I probably, only on the first episode of the D&D animation. So, okay, Vince, just so you know, heads up, YouTube has almost all of them.
Yep.
You have to navigate around sometimes. Maybe it's not all in one playlist. There's only 27 episodes, 3 seasons, 27. There's not a ton of them. So if you just need something for free, want to reminisce, just take one or two in. There you go. Yeah. So
put together my own custom cover to make it look like the old basic, and this one actually contains the unreleased final episode called Requiem, which you can also find on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, yeah. We got to make sure we get that Renault commercial in there in your collection. Make sure you have that as well.
Right.
Ooh, that's gold.
See, I've heard people saying that I've heard some people complain about that finale because they kind of retcons a little bit of stuff, or some people just, I've heard, have had some issues with that. But hey, it's one more episode.
Well, the problem with wrapping it up is that even within those episodes, they were not really neat about their canon or continuity. So when you get to the last one, it's like we've got to do whatever we got to do to make a story make sense to close it up. I appreciate the fact that the writer actually not only put a script together, but then the fans kind of pulled together to help make it exist, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Ironcaster, before I get to your comment, Bobby, first off, hey to you. I see your comment there. We'll get to you next. But Ironcaster, how did the D&D land up? How did we get the hook so deep in Ironcaster?
Well, I mean, I've always been a fan of RPGs, and role playing games, the Final Fantasies, Tales of Symphonia. These were all always kind of part of things for me growing up, and it was like after high school graduation, me and a bunch of friends were kind of getting around. We're like, we should play this, get around to playing this, because another friend of ours had come over and introduced us to it. So we were about 17, 18 at the time. We were well in kind of advanced of, we weren't just kids. So, here it is about 2007, 2008, right in there. We're playing for the first time, like 3rd edition, and we're kind of misunderstanding rules as we go. So it becomes a whole process, but I'm always going to remember like us arguing, like standing in like knee deep water with a sword in the middle of this little pond. I'm like, this is an obvious trap, guys. You're crazy to go for this sword. Sure enough, it was like an alligator or something, but it's like I said, it's ever since then become a big part of my life. So it's been 15 years or so of it.
That's awesome. And the memories that you can carve out from that are just timeless,
Well, and Pops, you were talking about writing every day and creative writing and so forth. Really, if anyone ever asks you what, that doesn't know what role-playing games are, tabletop, that concept, it's collective storytelling is what it really is. It's barely a game. There's some rules to keep it all together, but everybody plays a character, and it's improvisational theater, and you all put a story together with certain skeleton to keep you on track.
Yeah,
that's really
I used to always just love that, that choose your own adventure mindset. So it's just like it's so cool. So, Bobby transitions us now into the concept of movies. Are there 5 Dungeons and Dragon movies? There are several. I'm not sure that they're all like big budget mainstream. I know the 2001 that had Jeremy Irons in it is the one that I knew of, but there are a couple others that are out there, right? There's Wrath of the Dragon God, is that right?
Yeah, basically after the 2000s movie, they wound up doing 2 additional like direct-to-DVD movies, and one is like the Book of Vile Darkness is I think the name of the 3rd one. But around that same time, there was also an animated film that was an adaptation of the Dragonlance, of the first Dragonlance. Those are the DVDs, yes.
Yep.
So that would make 4, and then there's now the upcoming 5th one.
Right. Honor Among Thieves. Got it. Right. Speaking of creating and writing, Mike is definitely still working on his manga comic right now. So yeah, that's awesome to see that. Keep on going, man. Shaggy's popping in. Always love seeing Shaggy here. Awesome. That's great.
Like zoinks.
Like it's totally cool, man. D&D players and fans, how do you feel about Magic card game? Is that an extension, same kind of thing? Is there animosity in those circles? I'm not sure I know.
Well, go ahead.
No,
you probably have a better background on it. I know the current stuff much better.
Okay, so for years it's always been they're always kind of tied to one another. Me and my friends, while we're waiting for others to show up, we'd be sitting there playing Magic while we're going. But Magic the Gathering does have its own rich history of universes of stuff that they've also then gone and done crossovers for. So there are in fact published Magic the Gathering setting books for Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a kind of cross-brand synergy that works. But there are people who just absolutely hate the idea of, no, I don't want my gravy and my mashed potatoes to touch on the same plate. I want my food separate.
Yeah. And as far as, customizable card games in general, love the idea. I was very big into collecting the Star Trek customizable card game, the first version of it. I think I have almost every card that was put out. But Magic the Gathering, the thing that has kept that stone rolling is the collectability, right? You build your card decks, you get those rare cards that are very valuable to you in the game, and then new boosters come out, and you got to get all those. You got like Pokemon, you got to catch them all, right? Well, very recently, Hasbro, which owns Magic the Gathering, decided, well, this whole collecting thing, we're missing out on a big part of the profit margin here, because when you put these cards out, they're mostly common cards, but then there's uncommons and rares and very rares, and those very rare cards go for lots and lots of money on the secondary market. So what we're going to do is the next bunch of boosters we put out, we're going to charge $1,000 a pack. And the fandom was like, what? And the few crazies that actually bought them saw that they had a pack for $1,000 of mostly common cards, and they were upset. And fandom just walked away from it.
Yeah, the
reason for a lot of that stuff was happening was Magic has a series of cards called has a list called the Reserve List.
Yeah,
it's famously on the list. There's the collection of cards that are known as the Power 9, that are 9 of the most valuable cards from the original set. One of which the other day just sold for I think some insane number, $500,000, just for one of these in a somewhat decent condition, because they're 30-year-old cardboard cards.
I know the grading industry changed a lot of this. So is that are we talking about a graded card that went for that kind of money?
I think it might have been.
Okay.
But the issue is basically one of the reasons that sort of helps hold that value is these cards were something that the company basically promised, I think before Hasbro had ever bought them, Wizards of the Coast had promised, we will never reprint these cards. They were seen as unbrokenly powerful. It just kind of, it stupidly ramps the game up. They were seen as really unbalanced cards. Mm-hmm. And so people have kind of seen those as something to just have that perceived value.
Yeah, it's so again, I can speak more to this with both the Marvel, I guess Star Wars too, but Marvel for sure, and the sports industry. They're doing things where they do reprints of the classic stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. It's not the Mickey Mantle rookie card, but it's the reprint of the Mickey Mantle rookie card that's been reissued.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a nice surrogate, but you're diminishing the market and the grand scale of things, in my opinion. So,
well, and that's I kind of see where collectors are coming from. That was the marketing for these customizable cards. They literally were put out with quantities that made them common, uncommon, rare, and very rare, right?
Yeah.
So, or unique, and so there's that built-in value. Whereas if you look at comic books, for example, well, they're only rare because they were mass printed and they're 60, 70 years old, and only a few of them are left in good condition. That's where the rarity comes from. They weren't intended to hold value and be rare. It's just like an old car or salt shakers or whatever. But this idea of planned rarity, and then the company trying to get in on that, they're cutting into their own market, and they're killing it. Well, there's whole articles out there about Magic and how Hasbro is, that we could do a whole other show about Hasbro and the toy industry, but the Hasbro has been written up in Forbes and Wall Street Journal having been downgraded, and they're really, really hurting. And this was a big part of that.
Well, I'll come back to
So much so that actually, like, some of the most recent sets are being discovered in like landfills and being pulped and scrapped. Like in one of the cases, the Lord of the Rings sets, like collections of the cards that are being scrapped before like it's even hit street date, is my understanding. And I think that personally, tinfoil hat, I think they're reacting to the Forbes coverage saying you're making too much, you're killing the cash cow by cutting down the number of what they have available in stock.
Yeah. The destruction of the number of boxes, therefore it reduces the number. Because I have to be honest, part of the appeal of, let's say, not the very first ones, but let's say Marvel Masterpiece 93 through 6 is a lot of those boxes were serial numbered. So there's only so many sets. Right. Same thing with like the factory sets from back in the day. The factory sets were like, there's only so many of them. I mean, there's still a lot. I'm not trying to, discount the 90s because there was mass production of stuff in the 90s. The new stuff now, they purposely will make things very, very limited. They will release 25 of these or 50 of those kinds of things. So, but yeah, Vince was commenting about like real life and adult life getting in the way. We all can relate to that, my brother. Bobby's, of course, giving us another call back to that 2000 movie. Yeah. Nas is here. Always great to have the vampire in the house. Thank you. It's like Ironcaster eye candy. Well, yeah, of course.
And I have always said that if a company wants to produce a product and make more money, if the product is in enough demand, put more of it out. That again brings me back to Hasbro. A lot of my regulars know I'm a big Hasbro Star Wars action figure kind of guy, and their distribution model sucks. It has sucked since way before the pandemic, so they can't even blame that. They'd put out a whole bunch of something in one state, and you couldn't get it in another state, and the only way to get it was to pay inflated prices on the secondary market, and then it was out of production and they weren't making it anymore, and people would write to Hasbro and say, look, if you want to sell this stuff, get it to us, we want it, and so yeah, I don't understand what these companies are thinking. But
it's corporate stuff, not understanding what their customers really are, or really
not understanding supply and demand. It seems.
Yeah, it's all out of whack. And again, folks, please don't buy when things first drop. Don't get caught up in these waves and these highs and whatever. Just ride it out, and it will
never let FOMO run your pocketbook ever.
Yeah. Definitely not from a collector standpoint. So, Steven is echoing the D&D and the card game stuff about how you can kind of get through that. And Monkey Jeebus is here. Monkey Jeebus, hey, listen, brother, listen. Your recommendation or request for the Kingdom Come Marvel's Earth X type conversation, Roman of the Empire will be on with me. That comic book talk, barring everything going well, should drop in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. I'll make sure I try to remember to tag you in that description so it lets you know. Nas is dropping in some of his stuff there, try to derail my PG-13 efforts. I appreciate his work very much. An animated movie was news to me too, Vince. I'm with you, man. I'm like, we're gonna check that out.
Actually, they got like Lucy Lawless to voice one of the characters in it. You can actually find it on like YouTube.
That's cool. All right, we're getting to YouTube. The Dorkness Rising was really a fun little thing that Ironcaster had recommended, and I really have to admit I had a good time. And listen, I have to agree, everything is better with pirates. I have to be honest. That was my favorite line of the movie. Was everything is better with pirates was my favorite line. Maybe a little too cheeky for the great context of the film, but that was one of my favorite parts. So yeah, I don't know. Troy, have you taken in the gamer Dorkness Rising anytime soon?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So not only do I have Dorkness Rising, I have the previous film, The Gamers, and my copy is autographed.
Oh wow! Look at this.
Because I was after The Gamers, I didn't know about it when it first came out, and one of the guys in my gaming group, my Wednesday night group, said, "Hey, have you checked this out? I think you'd love it." We sat and watched The Gamers. He said, "Yeah, they're crowdfunding for the follow-up, Dorkness Rising." So I got in on it, and one of the tiers was not only do you get a copy of the Dorkness Rising, but you also get, an autographed copy of The Gamers. So I got them both.
It's a lot of fun. It was a fun little experience, and I have to admit, I was really impressed of like the real life story arc that was actually happening simultaneous to the game part. I actually thought it was just going to be a fan made D&D type thing, but I have to admit the idea of a guy that's having writer's block and he's truly trying to pursue this, he's published, and like, this is actually pretty good. I actually really thought this was pretty clever. So
there is as long as you have this picture up, this is great opportunity. So the bloke on the right with the red and whatnot, same exact outfit as the girl right next to him. So the guy is the player at the table, and the girl is his character, and they switch between them. And
it starts off slowly, like it's not. It starts off very much like a silly joke, like it was really kind of punchy, and then it just keeps going to the point where then they just transition almost like a Jumanji thing, where like it's just the avatar. It's like there's no longer cuts to the guy. It's like it was actually done really well. I think this was really a fun little fan project that hopefully did well for them and hopefully can live on for them. So.
We still joke about the bard. Hide behind the pile of bards.
I want to hang in a thank you here real quick to Lord Thoth. One of the members here is also, and it's saying he's a Magic player in beta, passed Ice Age, then grew bored. Fair enough.
LT.
Then there's all sorts of shenanigans here. Oh, you guys are getting carried away. Listen, complete set of those Star Trek CGC. Whoa, yeah, money. Yeah, right, man. There are a couple of those cards. See, again, I'm the nerd that will know more about like the money investor side. Like if you run across certain ones, like that's what I would know, but I've never been into the card part either. So.
On that Star Trek customizable card game, bringing it back to what we were talking about before, one of the sets was the Kefis Fajo collection, which had a card in it that was an artifact card of the was it Mickey Mantle? That was the card that Kefis Fajo had in that one episode.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it came with a piece of bubble gum in plastic.
That's
so I still have it in plastic. And then Netter got me that actual card, from a collector. Not the, she didn't spend, hundreds of dollars on it. It was like a little offset. It was cut weird. So, but it's nice to have it in there with the card from the customizable card game.
Very, very cool. Look, more landfill talk. Nas is throwing out the goat of the landfill, the Atari ET game, which has earned its own documentary. So,
yeah.
G.I. Joe's getting some love. Yeah, very
well,
cool.
Apparently now there's going to be a Hasbro landfill alongside all the Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chi is here as well, talking about how Bitcoin was created because of the cards. I don't know that was why, but I could see that all being
I bet there's a good story in there. In fact, I bet it would make a good movie, like the Tetris movie that's coming out.
Yes. Zax is here. Hey, brother. Hope you're doing all right. Going to see Zax in April. I'm very excited about that. It'll be so awesome. So, yep. And let's see. All right. Man, chat's going crazy. So I got to get back on tour with Darkness Rising. So let's talk about Darkness Rising again, Ironcaster. Do you have what was you have like a first impression, a favorite part? Talk a little bit about this, because I have to be honest. I had a better time at this than I thought I would. I'll be perfectly honest. So, it's way better than Shark Side of the Moon. Way better than Shark Side of the Moon. And that says a lot, folks. This is like a fan project, and it was like a lot more entertaining.
It's a work of love. But
there's story arcs. There was actually stories. I'm like, this is actually pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a story about people sitting around and playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Where it's literally them sitting at the table rolling dice, and then we'll cut to the in-game what their of the game they're actually playing through. So we'll get the fantasy stuff, and then we'll change over to the actual from the game itself back to the players. There is all these little things. There's the characters in the movie are representatives of different player tropes. You have the stupid player on the right there. You have the lawful stupid paladin, the DMPC.
Lawful stupid, yes.
Well, I love the fact that it's like the pretty girl who wants to play her way. She kind of does her little thing, and they're kind of like an argument that kind of breaks out. Then you have like kind of the obnoxious better looking jock type that he thinks he knows everything, and they really do play with some of those tropes. And again, they give them little journeys and little story arcs. I thought it was handled pretty well. So
right,
also is here, by the way. I want to say hey to Olds Gamer, also another member. Thank you, Olds Gamer. And by the way, if he didn't catch it right in front, I think you were the one that recommended us to do that Cloak and Dagger stream, which we did a couple weeks ago. So make sure you check that out. So
I'm glad I watched that.
All right, Troy.
When we first watched it, Netter and I were talking about the guy playing the monk, who is what you would call a min-maxer, right? He's brute force, very simple, stronger is better, kind of concept. And he gets into an argument with the new person who's a girl, so he's comes off with the whole, oh, you don't understand how this works. Well, she's actually read the rules, and she plays a nuanced character, so she understands combat rules that he's not even paying attention to. Mm-hmm. And Netter and I kind of were like, yeah, we know players exactly like this. I won't say any names in case they're watching.
It made perfect sense to me. So.
Yeah. The arguments being had in game. I feel like something you sit at the table like, oh, I've argued about this rule about it makes sense for the story, so I'm gonna ignore this rule in the book because I'm running the game.
Yep, rule 0.
Yeah. So Nos is here to make sure he tries to troll you. So I appreciate the smote, smite, smitten by Jesus Christ. Appreciate that. And then, of course, that the Sharks of the Corn, which was so bad I couldn't even get through it. I couldn't get through it. Listen, I'll watch anything, and I couldn't get through it. I lasted longer than IRONCASTER, but man.
Be sure to check out Ouija Shark.
Oh no.
Okay, oldest brother was a DM. Let's see, you still like the blue box. Yeah, cool. Very cool. So.
That's just after the Moldvik Cook edition. So the red box was before the blue box. I think it still is like the basic expert editions. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but if they wanted to do a movie, Dungeons and Dragons, that would pull in the old time, I don't think they care about the old time fans, but they should do one where the villain is Bargle, the wizard, and he kills the cleric Alina, and the heroes have to go and get revenge for her, because everybody who played that original basic first edition, basic edition, was like, you killed Alina, I won't say it.
Yeah, Bargle was one of the original villain of one of the original modules.
Yep.
And so many people have basically been traumatized by Bargle.
We couldn't save Alina.
Well, I have to say, and I'm glad you pulled this up, IRONCASTER, because the lightsaber reference really, really made me laugh.
That was funny.
So he's going through the different things. He's handing out different weapons, and of course, there's a lightsaber sitting there. And I remember, I'm watching this on my phone, so I'm kind of like, "Look, is that a lightsaber? Like, what is happening?" And he puts it in his uniform there, and I was like, "Oh, this is freaking great! It's hysterical." So, and I'm glad that it came out to play later. That was kind of fun. So, and yeah, Nas is not actually trolling me. He claims. Cheese saying the pinnacle of the game was the Secret Wars Marvel superheroes with laminated triangle fold paper character pieces.
Yes, wasn't that put up by TSR? It was basically the basic Dungeons and Dragons rules. That was actually my introduction to a lot of Marvel characters, because all I knew was Spider-Man and some of the stuff that crossed over with Spider-Man. Until I got that box set. Yeah.
Very cool.
I think you might be right.
Bifer is here. Hey, brother. Hope you're doing all right. Padawannabe is saying I got to look out for Attack of the Meth Gator. No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, if anything is on Tubi, it is there. They have just, I mean, it literally is like going to the old video stores where the VHS tapes, Troy, you guys remember them, where you were like, what on earth are these? And the knockoffs of the knockoffs would be there. That's like what happens when you go to Tubi. You just go down the rabbit hole.
Yes, it is.
Can't believe. And again,
there's some good stuff there too.
Yes.
And kudos to them. Their stuff is on Tubi. Like, I don't have a movie on Tubi, so good on them. Like, as bad as these movies could be, listen, it's on Tubi. So very cool, very, very cool. Anything else about Darkness Rising? I think it was a lot of fun, and I will say, I wish there was a little bit more money that they could get into some of the production design and stuff like that, just to kind of ramp it up a little bit. And I really wish these folks were able to continue that, that love and that passion in this sort of a way. I mean, obviously doing a feature film is a lot, but with today's technology and YouTube being what it is, even if they did a series of, short films, I think it'd be a lot of fun. That's for sure. So
they've actually done a third movie.
Oh, very cool.
And it is kind of ironically about card games, where the min-max player, the monk there, it just gets, after he gets fed up with the party and kind of storms off, he winds up, just because of his attitude, it's like he'd actually be really good for playing card games instead, just because it's very much a one-on-one type of game. He's better for it's about him going into some tournament trying to kind of redeem himself.
Interesting.
And then I think they've done the odd little web series thing here or there, so there is a little bit of other stuff.
Huh, interesting. Chi's saying he saved a advanced D&D Oriental Adventures book, and it's in storage with my belongings. Very, very cool, man. Yeah, check it's good. Yeah, 144 page version. Cool. Very cool. No, some of this stuff, it's becoming increasingly rare. I know they're trying to ban certain types of things because of the content and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, keep an eye out for stuff like that you have to make sure you can. I mean, I'm not trying to tell anyone to sell it, but if you're holding on to it for a certain moment, you kind of have to strike when the iron is hot, because you never know when that window.
There you go, Oriental Adventures. There you go.
Look at this.
I don't think we're allowed to call it that anymore. Now Hasbro would not allow that.
Well,
I have first and third edition.
There you go. I did. I was not looking for value in these things. So what I did at one point, just because I was, let's face it, I got all this stuff around me. I've only got so much room in my house, and if I was going to bring in a new edition of Dungeons and Dragons, I said, it's probably time to get rid of the old. So I've gotten rid of. I got rid of my, basic expert, companion, expert, whatever. I got rid of my first editions, all the second editions. I mean, and I had tons of this stuff. I took it to my local hobby shop. They had the auction thing there, and I literally was able to finance buying the third edition / Pathfinder stuff. That's where I stop. I am not going any farther.
Oh,
if I were to suggest one other system, I mean, aside from my entire bookshelf there.
Sure.
I really recommend Old School Essentials.
You are not the first person to recommend that to me, and I saw a video about it. I definitely am going to have to check that out. Yep.
That's awesome. All right. Well, there she is. Hey, Netter.
There you go. I love you too, Netter. Now she's actually sitting just 5 feet from me, in front of me here.
That's awesome. No, I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the excuse to reminisce with the cartoon. I had a good time with it. Hey, Netter. I definitely enjoyed that. So that kind of takes us to this movie. And
yes,
I wanted to kind of reassess, especially Ironcaster. I want to see, because you were really kind of all in opening weekend. Like, I got to see this. It's kind of on brand, that kind of thing. Where are you at on your timeline? Is this a opening weekend? Well, when I get to it, I don't know. Where are you at on that?
Well, the big thing that happened was come January, Wizards of the Coast decided that we need to go after the third-party vendors.
Yep.
The
OGL.
The OGL debacle happened, which, by the way, I should point out.
Yep.
Basically, it's a license that allows anyone to basically use this a system reference document to go and produce things. So the stats for their fighter, or basically stuff about the fighter, the magic user, a lot of certain monsters and stuff, it all prepackaged to kind of go out and do your own thing. It ironically caused, like, in the 2000s, for a boom of tabletop RPGs. Everyone did a D20 system based on it, and it basically helped to secure the dominance of Dungeons and Dragons coming into the millennium. And then they got the bright idea that, well, a lot of these like big Kickstarters, this Critical Role show, a lot of these things, they weren't getting a dime of. They decided to try to go after those to try to capitalize on that as money they're not getting in their pocket, even though everyone's at the very least buying their base books to do other things. It basically went after a lot of friends of mine that hurt in a way that I wasn't happy with. I really don't think I can. I feel like I can, in good conscience, go and support it right now. So it's something it basically, them doing that killed any interest I had in actually seeing the movie.
Oh, okay. All right. That's kind of what I was getting at too, because I think that is the one thing I noticed with that basically the attack on the fans, attack on the market. They're again, what Troy was saying earlier, like they don't understand who their even customer base is and that kind of thing. Where are you at, Troy? Where are you at on seeing this movie, or what your thoughts are on it?
I want to actually, that's a perfect pivot point, because I want to piggyback on exactly what he said and expound on that. They really did kill the golden goose there. They've backed off 180, but too little, too late. They upset everybody. All the YouTube channels, Critical Role, all of their, not having to pay for marketing, people that were promoting them without any effort from Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have been driven away. And that's why, the book that he was just sharing, the reason I saw a video on it is because there was like 5 different YouTubers that I follow saying, here's 10 different games you could be playing besides that one, and so forth.
It was a move that ultimately managed to unify a divided fan base.
It did against them, though.
The blue-haired sparkle trolls and the old school grognards, people who hated each other freaking guts, all looked at each other and said, Wizards of the Coast is terrible. They're doing an obvious corporate move while hiding behind the guise of we're doing this for moral reasons.
Yep. But I did want to add on a whole other layer to this besides that, and the animosity from the fan base is also this terrible, terrible mismanagement of what is their IP, okay? So first, maybe partly related to that open game license, there's what they can trademark and what they can't, right? You can't trademark a game system, a concept of rolling dice and stats and stuff. That's not something they can control. The only thing they control is, and they certainly can't control trolls and orcs and priests and paladins. Those fantasy tropes belong to the world. What they have trademarked is specialized, specific monster types, the Illithid, the Beholder, things like that, and their campaign settings, whether it's Faerun or I actually don't even remember. Ravenloft is a great one, and specific characters that exist within those settings, Lord Strahd and Lord Soth and those kinds of things, right? So. Yeah, Drizzt, yeah, exactly. So why on earth do they reinvent the wheel every time they do a D&D movie to create nondescript characters with nothing in it except maybe a beholder in the background somewhere to differentiate it as D&D?
Well, I think, though, it's because, just a lot of people probably look at it as there's no story to this. It's just kind of an adventure. It becomes an open canvas where someone could go and put their own stuff onto the world, which, to be fair, is not a bad idea. I would still like to see them go and adapt certain things and bring those in. For example, I heard, which, by the way, I have actually genuinely heard some good things about the movie here. And in fact, in one of the background shots, you can actually see the kids from the original D&D cartoon are in the movie.
Okay, member berries and Easter eggs, and that's enough for them to try to rope people in with. I get it.
So Nighthawk is saying that too. Says not very bad. It was fun. I'm not sure I'm not sure not very bad is the way to sell someone like me on the movie, but I can take what you got there. So woke marketing is not in the film. Boy, we will have to see how I feel about that.
But the critical problem that I was getting at, though, is I get what you're saying, Ironcaster, and the concept that because it's a game and it's you make it up yourself, so it can be anything. That's fine. But if you want to market it as a film, as a franchise, as a trademark, you can't do that. This is where you need to use those trademark things that are specifically D&D, and there are books and lore out there that they own that is their intellectual property, and they're doing zero with it to do generic stuff that anyone can,
So, I mean, to bring back to your point, like the idea of just making Bargle a villain in it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's say hey to Cannoli Sasquatch. He stopped in here as well. And let's see. Hopefully you're doing well, brother. See, Lord Thos is saying, so took the lady, got their VIP. Okay, cool. So let me ask you this. What would fandom be excited about? Like what in the reviews, what would be the kind of things that maybe it doesn't have a massive opening. Maybe the protest rally is legit and doesn't turn out to be a massive opening, but the reviews are solid. I mean, 86% to me is absurd. I cannot imagine a D&D movie being an 8. I'm sorry. I'm too hard of a critic. We've long jumped the shark on things that are okay at being a 6 and a 7. I don't understand why things are 8s and 8, 9s and 10s are these unicorn type things, and we just keep throwing around these numbers. It's absurd to me. But what would you want to see, Ironcaster? You're like, oh, well, I really should see it then. It's something. What is there anything?
Right. So if we put aside the Wizards of the Coast fiasco, I mean, you just kind of all you have to do is just a straight adventure story about going into a giant mountain to get treasure from a dragon. If you just go a simple plot like that, get a group of a band of heroes together of like the different classes. You just kind of hit those basic ideas. Give me a story of adventure. Like a sword and sorcery movie would be all you really have to do ultimately.
Yeah, I agree. I actually am shocked. Troy, I love your thoughts. We are in an age where Jumanji made money. Goosebumps is making money. The concept of that role-playing Avatar type stuff seems to me to be like a softball. And they totally don't sound like that's what they did here. It sounds like they've gone in a completely different direction. And it seemed like it was an easy thing to make a massive splash.
They want to do their own version of Lord of the Rings or whatever. And the problem with that is you're trying to market a game. The game has to be part of it. The best way to do that, live action version of the cartoon.
Yeah.
That would do it. That would be smart. But I am and I'm sorry, Ironcast, I can't put aside the OGL and all the other things that they've done. And I'm with Lord Toth. I will not see it, no matter what they've done.
I should specify. I said that for the sake of answering the question. Like,
right. I get you. No, I understand.
Yeah, no, I'm agree. I'm with you. Like, I'm heavy. I can't justify supporting it, which it is unfortunate. It's a movie. Honestly, it's a movie. Ever since we saw the trailers for it, I was calling it Guardians of the Dungeon. This is that's what I've thought this entire time about this.
Yeah. No, actually, that is. I hadn't heard that before, but that's great. Yeah.
I will say this for me. This is the same way I feel about Shazam, because Shazam just bombed at the box office, right? Because Shazam and the other 3 movies that will come out this year are on the heels of them, for some reason, announcing they're rebooting the entire franchise before these movies came out. Like, it makes no sense to me that they didn't figure out a way to reshuffle the release dates, or put off their announcement, let's say to July or something like that. It's like, to me, no one goes to see Shazam. It doesn't really matter about the quality of the movie. It's like no one cares. Like, why should we care? We don't even know what matters and doesn't matter.
Do you think that might have been intentional, though, Pops? Do you think maybe they were stuck with with some stuff that they knew they weren't going to make money on. So they're like, you know what? Let's make it a clean break and make sure it tanks.
I wish I could say I believe that they're that smart. Like, don't attribute malice to incompetence. And it's. I think that they were stuck with some contractual obligations, and that's where some of the stuff is coming to theaters. Why I think Black Adam made it to a theater. There are certain things that are contractual. They can't put to streaming. They can't kill. Batgirl was an easy kill. There's no one really attached except for Keaton. Keaton had already had his fill anyway.
Yeah.
They paid him off.
They definitely just moved that along. So I think this is why the whole thing is being handled, and I was just shocked that D&D didn't we've all said it now. They're just so out of touch with the customers and the people, and it's not like we're not making it very clear to them what we want.
They can listen and know for free. They purposely ignore it.
Yeah. Lord Thoth is saying right here, who is advising people? They are complete idiots. Yeah. Why would and the thing is, Lord Thoth, it's all of it. It's what we're learning now with Marvel, with their sensibility panels. It's what we're learning about, the morons that we're running. I mean, I've long said, listen, the company that made Catwoman, starring Halle Berry, who was the only black character in the movie, is one of the dumbest concepts that I've ever seen. And unless the studio can completely change,
I guess we've changed that.
Wow, we just lost him. Well, let me speak to this exact point. So we have someone like Cynthia Williams in charge of Wizards of the Coast, right? And she has been on record saying they will like what we tell them to like. And yes, ironically, that is the attitude that we see from so many people in the industry, in the entertainment industry. And no, that is exactly the wrong attitude, because whether you say it aloud or not, the viewer gets that message very clearly, and they go, done, I'm gone. No, you do not tell me what I like. I will not pay for what I don't like. And if you don't want to listen to me, you don't want my money.
And Lord Thoth, they're morons. They live in these echo chamber bubbles, this California entertainment bubble that's on Twitter. Yep. They think they think they understand what engagement is. They don't care about negative publicity. Like, literally, this is why we're going to get things like Velma, why we're getting Gotham Knights. They just, if anyone's talking about it, that's good for there literally are those type of people that are running, making some of these decisions. And it just hasn't gotten down to the pocketbook enough yet. And this movie will tank because they've alienated so many of their fans. There's no way I see this movie doing well.
Wizards of the Coast is the company that apologized and said that its depiction of orcs was akin to black people. They have had to apologize for multiple different occasions where, like, oh, the space monkeys in our Spelljammer book, which didn't have ship-to-ship combat rules, they were like, yeah, this is totally minstrel shows. We're sorry. We're now going to add, like, 3 layers of like, diversity readers or whatever the buzzword it was for that.
Yeah.
And we've said this for so long. It's like, do you understand that these I don't even want to call them tropes, but these archetypes of trolls and orcs and goblins and so forth, these go long before even the tropes that they're talking about that are racial in the real world. That's not what these are. This is something completely different, and they are projecting it on there. They're looking for reasons to be offended and to apologize. When an intelligent business person would say, if that's how you see it, that says way more about you than our company. That is not what this is. It's not what it was ever intended to be.
I agree.
They don't have the stones for that.
If you see an orc as a black person, I'm sorry, you're the ist in this conversation.
Yep.
Sorry. Chris Persia, yes. Evidently, the new computer has a hotkey that kicks me out, and I must have brushed up against it because that's all I did. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm out. I guess I'll go back.
He failed his saving throw and got booted.
He did. He did. He failed his saving throw. He rolled a 1.
I did. I got the wrong dice, and Yeah, so lots of fun comments here in chat. Make sure I get through. So,
by the way,
yeah, and Vince you're absolutely right, man. Just the idea that this is, it's really, really strange to me. It's really, really strange.
So
go ahead, Ironcast.
I have a slight confession to make. I might have.
You have an addiction. Yeah.
I had to resort to pack out boxes for all my dice.
You had to go to Home Depot to get
a
toolbox.
Well, at least you're organized. I still use a Crown Royal bag.
The thing is, it still doesn't even count for like the lamp I filled with dice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go and grab a lamp to show off.
I absolutely get that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Vince. It's like this mythological creature thing predates all of this stuff. Like it's just Norse mythology in ancient times. It's just it's beyond.
I knew we were getting into a problem when they started talking about the idea of doing away with automatic or limitations on alignments, where the idea of if you're a goblin, you're evil, period. And they're like, no, that's unfair. You should be able to play as a goblin. You could be neutral or good. You could be anything you want to be. And it's like, within the lore of characters that you can play, you can be anything you want to be. But this is a fantasy world where these are evil creatures created by evil gods that are evil. Period.
I want to be a nice dragon.
Then there are
rainbow
races of dragons you can be.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, the other thing is, like, there's nothing stopping you from, like, with the rules, like, change whatever. It's like, I don't like these evil goblins. Okay, so goblins are good in my world.
I mean, that would be like saying, I want to play I want to be an angel, but I want to be an evil angel. Okay, then you're a demon. No. I want to be an evil angel. Yeah, you're a demon. That's how it works,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, definitionally, they're ignorant on how the rules are even put together. Like but I think this is it's a reflection of things that have been said in chat that we've already said. We have corporations that don't understand customers. You have factions of players who want to kind of modernize things so they can see themselves in it because they can't intellectually handle the game being by its tradition. I mean, basically that's what they're objecting to, is the traditions of things. What is the impact? I'll start with you this time, Troy. What is the impact on the movie to the franchise? Like, is this like another death nail where it's going to be another 15 years before someone goes back to the drawing board and tries to make a film or advance the franchise?
You have a great point there. I have heard a lot of people saying this is make or break for the brand. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think this is I think the damage to the brand where it is now is what it is. I don't think the movie, if it does well, it might help them, but it's not going to help them as much as it could because I feel they've mismanaged. Like Ironcaster was saying, put all the animosity and the OGL stuff and put all that aside. The movie in and of itself and the concept behind it is not well thought out enough to drive people to want to go and buy Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, Stranger Things has done more to make people want to play Dungeons and Dragons than this movie is ever going to do, even if it's awesome.
That's true.
Stranger Things and Critical Role. Those two.
Oh yeah, Critical Role. Yeah, that should have gone without saying. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Like, and when I keep bringing up Critical Role because it is like the single most popular piece of Dungeons and Dragons media. When the Twitch leaks happened about a year or two ago, Critical Role was the #1 broadcaster on all of Twitch.
Wow, that says a lot, man. That really does say a lot about the franchise and kind of where it's at and the interest, even if it's just casual interest that would be part of all of this. And they've flushed it down the toilet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say
I can't see this film doing. I mean, maybe the reviews say this solid, and it gets that strong. John Wick is supposed to be that good too, though. There's not a lot of oxygen in the room for everyone to participate. I mean, look, even though Shazam is a flop, the reality is, a 10 million, 15 million second weekend, there's people that are going to go see some of these. There's not enough money to go around to see all these things. So, yeah.
Well, and what marketing is there? Are people going to get into the game because of this? No, I don't believe they will. I've seen the action figures for this that Hasbro's putting out. I don't see those selling either, to be honest with you.
I think it's future Ollie's inventory. I don't know what you're talking about. I think Ollie's will be flooded with these. Just go ahead and just kind of wait your time out, folks, and you know where to go get them. I'm just telling you. Call my shots.
No, I don't. Yeah, don't even bother. It's really not worth it, folks.
The best bad guys do their deeds because they're not evil. They do it because they think they are right. Yes, Vince. That's how you write a bad guy. That's how you write a bad guy. So it's like the Thanos thing. So all right, so last thoughts, Ironcaster, on the D&D fandom, the films, the projects, the animated series, whatever you want to throw out there, man. What do you think?
So I think ultimately the movie's going to do what it's going to do. It's not going to particularly affect D&D as a brand, much like how World of Warcraft didn't ultimately destroy that as a brand. One of the things that had happened was the former CEO of Hasbro was wanting to really leverage into Hollywood, so he was trying to push to make games, to make films and products based on their intellectual property. And then he passed away of a sick illness or a heart attack. It's been a whole state of flux. And they've been in a lot of mishandling, to say the very least.
Yep.
I think your World of Warcraft analogy is probably the most spot on. Like, it's not going to do anything significantly positive or negative. So,
and I also wanted to pull up one of the action figures for this movie.
That's a Hugh Grant one.
Yes,
the Hugh Grant one. Ooh.
It looks like a wine ant, and like a. Let me zoom out here. Yeah, it looks like a wine ant in a bathrobe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, in fairness to Hasbro, they're working off of whatever the movie people put together, so they gotta, they don't have a lot of say in the costume. But if you look real close, that is that scale that Hasbro is doing. The Black Series for Star Wars and the Marvel. I forget what they call the Marvel lines, the Masterpiece or whatever. Legends, thank you. And that's great, but guys, we're going through the same thing in the toy market that we went through in the 70s, where everything's getting more and more expensive. Maybe it's time to start going back to 3 3/4-inch action figures. Why are there not a line of those being put out?
Well, apparently Marvel's going to be ending the 3 3/4 scale for the Legends.
For Marvel, yeah, maybe. That's a bad plan. I don't think that's a good idea because the 6-inch figures are getting more and more expensive. People can't afford them.
Oh, that face is terrible.
She's got a giant neck.
It's just, it doesn't look like her at all. Like, it looks
really
jacked up.
They're not even applying the photo real technology that they use on the Star Wars figures.
Right. Yeah, that's terrible. Now, I will admit, on the Hugh Grant one, your second photo looked better than the first one. The first one looked awful, but the second one...
If I didn't know he was playing that role, though, I would not have recognized it as Hugh Grant.
That's true. And Gap After Dark's hopped in here. Hey there, brother. Hope you're doing all right. And there he is. He's made it. Listen, keep the stream... Yeah, listen, man. Let's do it, man. Let's keep things rolling. Hang in there, man.
That is, better. Loki is so encouraging. I was just talking about him on Netter's stream on Thursday because he came by to encourage her. He's so wonderful.
Oh yeah, he's This is what this is all about, man. Just helping each other, locking arms. We're in this giant algorithm cesspool that's called YouTube to hang out and find friends and family and get to know people. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. Troy, what is your final thought on the whole D&D movie impact of anything like that? Is Ironcaster spot on?
I think he's 100% right. I appreciate that World of Warcraft analogy. I actually forgot World of Warcraft had a movie, but yeah, and I think it's going to be the same thing with this. I think people are going to be smart to look at it and say, yeah, this is going to go right up on my... If you're a completist like me, yeah, it'll go up on my shelf with those, and maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't, but I'm a completist, so I got to have it, but... no one's going to be going out and getting the game because of it, or the action figures or anything. I can't imagine there's going to be a sequel, and if there is, it's going to go straight to some streaming service somewhere. And
apparently they're doing a TV series, by the way.
Pardon me?
Apparently they're also going to do a TV series on Paramount. So, hey, maybe we'll get to look forward to that.
We'll see.
We'll
see. As everybody is slamming the brakes on production because things are getting really tight, we'll see if that actually happens.
Yeah, Chris Purge is saying, we're probably best off forgetting the WoW movie. Yeah, with you, man.
So nobody is recommending I go out of my way to try and see it?
No, I'm with them. No. Not worth it.
I'll watch Shark Side of the Moon instead.
You're better off You're probably better off going on YouTube and watching someone's lore summary of the game Warcraft 2 that it's based on.
I'll tell you what, those are pretty good sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was delving into Resident Evil last night.
Let's see, man. Where are we at on streaming, man? What's your videos? What's your streaming like? I know the Friday nights are rocking and rolling. I'm enjoying catching up that stuff. Working with Nick, it's always been good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Talking comic book stuff. It's right up my alley, of course.
I've been kind of reconsidering what I'm doing with some of my other stuff. I feel like I've kind of relying too much on just doing the live streams for some of the stuff. So I'm going to try to actually pump out some videos here. I
need at least a once a month Tubi update from IRONCASTER. That's what I need.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Like once a month. It's once a month.
That could be a good video. Just a top 10 list of the things I've seen on Tubi that you might not know about.
I gotta get a voice effect going. It came from Tubi.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely is that 1950s sort of feel. So, Chris Purge saying maybe Secret Hideout can get the production rights.
That's the end of it. Then it'll die right there.
I mean, the only real benefit is like,
I wish, G.
I mean, the nice thing is that there is such a rich tapestry of universes they have available. All the Ravenloft for all the Gothic
just
horror.
Do something with it. They could have whole separate. They could do a whole line of Ravenloft movies. They could do a whole line of Dragonlance movies. Oh, everyone's clamoring for Dragonlance.
The Hickmans would be so happy about that too.
That's the other problem, though. These companies, they don't want to pay out to the people that created it. So it's like, fine, you're left holding an empty bag.
And then the only other cash cow they have is Drizzt, which, guys, this is, the biggest cash cow character that Wizards of the Coast arguably has. Any other character, Drizzt is probably the number one character of the brand.
All right. Back on point.
Yeah.
Chris Purge is putting it together for you. This month's Tubi or not
Tubi or not Tubi. That is a great title.
It's on IRONCASTER's brand. You should reach out to Tubi themselves. They'll sponsor you or something. It would be freaking great.
There you go.
You are definitely the biggest cheerleader for this service of anyone that I've ever met. My gosh, it's incredible. So
I would watch the heck out of that.
Oh yeah, I'm down with the Tubi. I have my notes to do a Tubi video because I did one as well. I couldn't believe how many great movies were on there, and then you followed it up with even more. I'm like, there is a lot of rich stuff in here. There is a lot of good stuff that rotates through there.
Which, by the way, there was a update. Tubi made Nielsen's ratings.
Wow!
Oh, wow! Interesting.
1%. It still counts though.
When you consider it's basically a free service, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's good for them, man. Making some money. That's good for them.
It just beat out Pluto TV, which is the dead last on there. Wow. 0.7, but the two of them are still roughly 2% of everything.
Yeah, go over there and subscribe to IRONCASTER and harass him into making videos.
Right.
At this point now, I'm just, we're just going to have to harass him into making content for us. So,
you get tomatoes thrown at me.
But this guy on the left, he's got content. Friday nights is like a mainstay for me. I don't catch it live, but every week I'm catching up with what's going on with Friday, hanging out with Troy and whoever his guests are at the moment. But what else is going on there, my friend?
Well, not right after this, but in about 2 hours, I will be on Mr. Matchstick's channel, where myself, Mr. Matchstick, and Aged Boomer will be talking about 3 of DC's animated features, the Superman, Batman films, and kind of talking a little bit about them, and maybe kind of lamenting the fact that their animated features are so much better than what they've been giving us in live action for so long. But a link to that is on my community page right now, if you want to check that out. Certainly love the subscription while you're there, by the way. Then of course I guest over on Netter's Network on Thursday. Now she's live, doing live streams on Thursday nights. And then, like you said, Friday night, every Friday night, 9 o'clock Central, 10 Eastern, Last Call. Usually I have another YouTuber on that I enjoy watching, and I think my followers would appreciate, kind of interview them, talk about their content and what their channel's about. But every now and again I'll do a watch party, or I'll just maybe go off on a little rant about something that's going on in the news or whatever, and I drink while I stream, which gets very, very interesting. And if you enjoy someone start slurring their words as the 2 hours go on, their link is down below to buy me a drink. So that's Friday night for you.
That's awesome. Listen, folks, these are 2 great guys, great content. Obviously, they've been spilling their guts about their love of this franchise, and we've been talking old school, new school, and everything in between. So it's been great. So. Another busy week for me, guys. I actually landed an interview with Aaron Lopresti. Any of you recognize the name from Indiegogo? His Wraith of God is a beautiful comic book. The sequel is called Blood Hunters, which is more about vampires than the werewolf, but that's coming out soon. You can get your copy of that. So he will be with me in my morning comic book talk tomorrow. So that will drop at 10:15 in the morning. I have at least 1 comic book review done for tomorrow. I might be able to squeeze out another one. We'll see how I feel. I don't have my Throwback Thursday done yet this week. I've been watching 2 movies at the same time, which is probably not the best way to get your Throwback Thursday video done. But I ended up down the rabbit hole, got distracted. Mrs. Pops wanted to watch something else. We ended up watching something else, and we didn't finish it because we both fell asleep. Blah, blah, blah. So Saturday morning cartoons, Sunday watch your story. Always fun stuff going on. So and thanks to all these members. Many great members out there. And my member stream will be Thursday. Actually this week. Try to fit it in before the end of the month. So I'll start about 5 p.m. Eastern time. I usually go for about 3 hours. So if you're able to stop in, you remember, want to stop in, and feel free to join us for that. So lots of love in the chat still going for things like Dragonlance. Yeah, I know, man. I know. And Pacific Forward native by awesome.
I was saying there are tons of novels just tied in the Dragonlance.
Yep.
You can just down a whole extended universe continuity of stuff. I was hearing there were Russian fan films about Dragonlance.
Wow,
that's cool.
Probably better than most of what Hollywood's doing.
Well, I remember when we were really in our heyday. So we're talking the heyday of the comic books in the 90s. The Advanced D&D and the Dragonlance comic books, especially those #1 issues, were a huge deal. They took off like crazy for a while. They were really, really popular. So there is some fandom and some crossover that they're just not tapping into. And I don't want to tell people it just is what it is. So. But no, it's been a great show. It's been fun. It's been fun, sort of spreading my wings. I would not have watched Darkness Rising if it wasn't for Ironcaster, but I appreciated the recommend, and I actually had a good time. I did.
Yeah, I mean, good call on that one.
It's just like I said. It's just a fun little movie about that is really more true to playing Dungeons and Dragons, because it's about the people sitting at the table and playing.
Yep.
The adventure they have going into it.
Yeah, it was.
Pops really look for gamers. It's not as good. It was like the proto film, but same people, worth checking out.
Yeah. Oh, kudos to them for pulling it out, making their dream a reality. It's out there on YouTube for free. and yet at the same time, it's able to kind of give people a good reality check of what it's like being. It'd be easy to point people to that. It's like you want to know what D&D is really like. I think that's really kind of one of the best pitches of what the movie could be. And then, like I said, honor of thieves, honor among thieves. I don't know. I don't know what to expect this weekend. Oh, sorry, it's next weekend. But obviously, you have Shazam first, and John Wick. I think John Wick's going to be the one that sucks all the oxygen out of the room. I just don't think people are going to care about
good.
D&D.
The cream should rise to the top.
Yeah, I just don't think there's going to be much. Yeah, I think that.
And then after that is Mario.
Oh, yeah.
Right after that is Mario. Yeah, so there's really no room there for them to carve out a run. There's just not. And I don't think they're going to be number one at the box office. And I think once Mario comes out, I'd be shocked if they're any higher than 3. There's no way. I just don't see it happening. So I don't know, folks. We've had a good time though. Appreciate you guys doing this. I really appreciate you, Troy. I knew Loki was kind of iffy on making it because of the doctor's appointment. We wanted to lock you in right away, tap into the knowledge. You've been amazing tonight, sharing some of that with us. It's been great. I appreciate you so much for doing that. Let's see here. This is the other fan film here. Let me put that link out there for you guys in chat.
Yep, I just opened it in another tab so I can watch it later.
I can never remember his name, but it's about the wizard from the Dragonlance party.
I know who you mean, but I was never a huge Dragonlance fan, so I don't know them by characters.
Wrestling,
yeah, okay. He's the one with the kind of goldish colored skin, and and
he's got like the hourglasses in the eyes. Yeah, and so I think it's supposed to be about the trials he underwent at the Wizard's Tower.
Makes sense.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. I remember being really. I had some friends who were really, really into all that. They just had a great time with it. So, all right, well, folks, with that, we'll sign off here. Be blessed. Make tomorrow better than today. Remember to talk hard. And in honor of our early conversation about Padawannabe, it's only fair we'll go out with some Padawannabe. This was the OG. This was the moment. Return of the Jedi cards started all of this off. So here you go. Okay.
So I stacked all the pieces here. We're gonna.
Oh, he went for the hardcore. I wish I could see Loki's face. Padawannabe is the boss.
You're the boss, brother.
You're the boss. We're clipping this. This will be a new clip.
It's like tasting Pop Rocks with no pop.
Pop Rocks with no pop. Holy cow.
There's no way that's gum anymore.
It's just no taste at all.
It still tasted like chewing gum. But there's
no, you're a soldier, brother.
It just turns to dust. There's no
all I can say to that is
wow, okay. Now